what inspired you to start Skillveri, and what is the company's mission?
Yes, so we started about 11 years back, and the idea for this company was much older. And then this was around the time that NSDC had started in India, and then there was a lot of focus on the skill gap that we face as a nation. At the same time, having one of the largest populations in the world with a very high percentage of youth in its population. So, two, three incidents that forced us to become full-time serious about this was to hear about the Delhi metro. The tunneling work was done by bringing in specialists from Peru, and the Delhi T3 airport construction involved a lot of workers from China. So that got us thinking on why such a large population country with such a large youth percentage had to bring in people from abroad for what is normally seen as a regular work. And in particular, there were some industries that had approached us at IIT Madras to uh, figure out ways to how scale up the vocational trade skilling, because uh, the current method of training through ITIs was not becoming very scalable. So there was a huge mismatch between what the industry wanted and what uh, was currently available at that point of time. And we wanted to bring technology to uh, speed up and scale up and also deliver at higher quality training that was otherwise very difficult to provide. So simulations and virtual reality was the technology tool that we used to build this.
So, could you provide us overview of Skillveri services offered to the general industry?
Yeah. So we are actually a products company, a product company that deals with both hardware and software. So we look at the gaps that are currently available, that are currently there in the industry, and see how using our products, solutions can be built, which will make skill development a lot more easier and quicker matter. And we currently have a multi-skill simulation platform on virtual reality and extended reality, where students can learn 4 types of welding, 6 types of painting, 2 types of AC repair, 2 types of solar panel installation, blasting, and some of our customers abroad also learn sealant application and foam spray application using our product. So essentially, skills that are used in the engineering sector and heavy industry, automotive industry, etc., where your hand movement, how skillfully you move your hands, has a significant impact on the output quality. So these are the products that we have. So our customers either buy these products outright and then use it to train their workforce or use it to train their students, or we also have a SaaS model, software as a service model, where they have the hardware, which is the virtual reality headsets, at their location, and then they download our software from the App Store, and they then use it to deliver the training internally in their company or in their training centers.
Could you elaborate this for us with a specific example? What you any company would have used the products and how they are benefiting out of it?
Yes, so let's take the example of NTPC, which is in the power sector and also relevant to your audience. So NTPC has these thermal power plants all over the country, and welding is a significant activity when it comes to the boilers and pressure vessels, and al- also in the construction stage as well as in the maintenance stage. And the quality of their output is very critical, because a welding fault could lead to huge accidents, and uh, the costs for that is uh, you know quite high and unimaginable. So in multiple plants of NTPC, they use our simulation, and then they train the welders thoroughly before they put them onto the real jobs. NTPC also works under its CSR program to train students from the nearby ITIs in welding for the same purpose. In similar context, the construction equipment industries also, they use our products to ensure that the construction equipment that they make, for example, JCB or Caterpillar, they train their staff on welding and painting using our simulators, and in many cases they customize the products to meet their requirements and meet their products. So a person who is virtually doing welding or painting in their company would be practicing on a virtual model of their own excavators or construction equipment. So the skill level of these people who build these products are of extremely high nature. So broadly bringing robotic level output quality on manually delivered jobs. So that's the benefit they are looking at.
Thank you for the very specific example. Now, how does Skillveri contribute to the skill development and training landscape? Does it provide services or products only to the corporates, or an individual also can benefit out of it?
So at the moment, an individual may not be able to benefit out of it, but I think in the long run that could happen. So in terms of the skill development landscape, a country like India has a huge skill gap. There are a lot of welders, painters, AC technicians, carpenters, all kinds of skilled people are required in large numbers, and these skills are actually quite high-paying jobs. For example, um, a welder working in BHEL would be paid between 80,000 to 1 lakh rupees a month, or a welder working in a nuclear power plant would be earning 4 lakh rupees a month. So these are career paths that skilled people can pursue. Obviously, they don't start at these numbers, but in a few years of work experience, they can get to these numbers. And these are critical jobs. If unless the local population is able to provide the skilled workforce, then there'll be a higher cost of bringing in experts from outside also. So over the last 10 years, through our products worldwide, about 20 lakh people have trained using our simulators through either the companies that employ them or through training centers that use our products. So today, if somebody wants to acquire a skill in this high-tech assisted manner, then they would have to go to one of the training centers which have our simulation. So worldwide, there are about 500 installations that we have across 150 customers. This would be about 80 customers in India, and the remaining 70 would be spread across US, UK, and Europe. So the advantage with virtual reality simulation is that a lot of on one side, a lot of consumables are saved in terms of the practical, and on the other hand, it becomes a self-paced, learner-centric mode where the person practicing is able to get a lot of feedback on what he or she is doing it right or wrong, and they get a lot of data on what mistakes to correct to achieve a higher quality output. And the quality expectation can be set by the trainer to different tolerance levels.
Okay. So, how do you envision the future of vocational and technical training, and where does Skillveri fit into that vision?
Okay. So this is a very interesting question. When we started the company, we were building a lot of sensors ourselves, and we were doing a lot of hardware ourselves. And 10, 12 years back, virtual reality was not in fashion. Whereas today, metaverse and AR, VR, all of this is become a lot more accepted, and a lot of companies have entered the virtual reality headset space. So we have Facebook or Meta, we have Apple coming into the picture, we have Lenovo in the picture, we have HTC in the picture. So once these devices started becoming more common, we migrated to have our products available on these platforms, or either these platforms as a standalone, or we integrate these hardware into our rest of the hardware and then give us seamless experience to the end user. So now that virtual reality technology is much more accessible than before, uh, such training methods are also becoming more and more popular. So many companies now have their own virtual reality lab. Many colleges have virtual reality devices in their, like what computers used to be earlier in our times. When I was in primary school, computer lab used to be a no entry zone where very costly machines will be having air conditioner and then locked up. By the time I got into secondary school, these computer labs became accessible to us. It became more. People started having PCs at home. So similarly, today, virtual reality device is only $300 in the US. So, uh, in fact, you earlier mentioned about is it accessible to the public? In US, we are seeing that just about to happen. We get a lot of inquiries on our website saying that I'm a student learning welding or I'm a worker doing painting at so and so factory. I have a virtual reality device. Can you give me a license to try out your product? So this has started coming up. Many places where we go to in the foreign countries, we find that the college or the school already has 20 of these headsets at their premises. So it becomes much more easier for us to just send them a download link and then they download the software and then start using it. I'm sure this would also come up in India in a big way. So today, one virtual reality headset is costing about 40,000 rupees in India. I'm sure once the educational applications of these are seen more and more by the government and the industry bodies, there would be some means to further bring down the cost. So as of today, at 40,000 rupees, it is comparable to a high-end phone in the country. Though, if you compare it with an iPhone, it is still half the price of an iPhone. So at some point, more and more individuals will start having these devices. Today, the challenge is that there are not many other uses for a virtual reality headset, whereas for a phone, we have 5 or 6 different uses at least, or for a laptop, we have multiple uses. So more people are having laptops, more people are having smartphones. So at some point, the tipping point will happen where more and more people will have virtual reality very accessible. So I think maybe 3 4 years down the line, maybe half of all training would happen through this technology enabled method. So today it is possibly 5% or so. It is the exception and not the rule. Whereas I think in 5 years it will become the de facto method of skill training and not the other way around.
Okay, so Skillveri is now known for its innovative technology. Could you explain the underlying technology behind your products?
Yes. So the core, secret sauce, as we call it, is what we call as digital mapping of dexterity. So dexterity is the ability with which you move your hands or limbs or your body, and many skills have dexterity as a core component. India is already famous for creating YouTube videos and simple explainer videos. Many complex subjects are taught very beautifully by Indian experts sitting in some corner of the country, but having a lot of subscribers on their YouTube channel or on their social media channels. But the skills that are done by the hand, where you need to practice, seeing a video alone is not sufficient. You need to move your hand and practice and make some mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. So that's the area where this digital mapping of dexterity becomes critical. So on all of our simulation, the hand movements are very carefully tracked to the precision of zero point 0.2 millimeters. This movement is compared against the ideal movement of a expert, and then you are taught how to make your hand movement closest to the expert operator's movement. So this is what is being taught in our simulation. So before we build a new simulator, we thoroughly analyze the hand movement of the operator with the output quality using ultra slow motion videos and everything, and then we bring it programmatically into the virtual world using the software development. And then when a person operates a machine or operates a tool, the hand movement is compared against the ideal, and then we tell them what to correct. And you get a lot of analysis on, let's say, for example, if I'm painting one steel structure, it will tell me where all my paint deposition has been correct, where all it has been excess, where all my hand movement was right, where all it was wrong, how to correct those movements. what is the cost of paint that I have applied on the job, what is the cost of the paint that I have wasted. All this data comes through, and with this, person is able to self-learn and self-correct a lot more than is physically possible with the conventional mode of training.
Okay. Could you share with us some success stories or case studies of individuals or organizations where you think the barrier has been crossed, threshold has been, it has made a deep impact?
There are quite a lot of examples. I would like to mention two, three. Many years back, when we started with welding simulation, welding was seen as a male-only trade. There are in India there are many women ITI, and none of the women ITIs have welding as a trade. They have stitching, beautician, that kind of courses only. And one of our first customers, they were a training center based in Pune, and they had a contract from a uh, large organization to train their welders, and they had a policy that 33% of their staff will be women. So when the first batch came, and they were the first batch to be also trained using a simulator. And the beauty was that the simulator has no biases, whereas humans have biases. So when the simulator scores came out, the top 10 had about 8 girls. That was an eye-opening situation for the training center because they never thought girls would do so well. And the fact that they first trained on a simulator before they went to the actual kind of scary equipment also ensured that their hands were very steady before they went to the real equipment. So this was an eye opener for the training center. This was an eye opener for us. This was, and further, I think the company later increased the women's strength to 50%. And did you get dropped off?
No, 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 no. I'm there. So we are just.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So when a woman enters a factory shop floor as the only woman or as a very small percentage of the entire factory, then there could be concerns on safety and other things. But when a woman enters the workforce as one of 33% or one of 50% of the entire shop floor, then the dynamics itself is totally different. So that is one. And another case is of in southern India, we have Nippon Paint using portable versions of a simulation to train painters how to use spray painting instead of brush and roller painting. And this leads to about 4 times faster paint application by the painting contractors, which means that for a consumer, the occupation or disruption is very minimal during the paint or repaint activity. So spray painting is a very small percentage in India, whereas in the Western market, it's a very popular method of applying paint. And with 20 of my simulators in South India, particularly Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, Nippon Paint has been able to train about 5,000 painters in the last 1 year to becoming spray painters instead of brush and roller painters, and therefore they are able to earn about 2 to 3 times their regular monthly income because they are finishing more projects, they are earning more money. At the same time, they are also getting a little bit more breaks between their two consecutive jobs. So these are some of the examples where the the simulation method has helped organizations as well as people benefit a lot compared to how it would have been possible in the conventional method.
Thank you for those beautiful examples. Now, how do you measure the impact Skillveri has achieved in terms of improving skills? Let's say, what is the production rise in some of the industries which this skill development has been able to bring?
So on a industry averaged base, this would vary between each individual organization, but on an
Definitely.
average, what we have seen is 35 to 40% is the productivity increase, and about 20 to 25% is the wage increase. So the company has benefited, the employer has benefited, and they are also sharing it with the employees who have shown the higher productivity. And on the other hand, people trained using this simulator integrated method have been making less mistakes, leading to lesser rejections and rework on the shop floor. So that also benefits the employers in a big manner.
So, in a country like India, what are the challenges you have faced while promoting skill development through technology, and how has Skillveri overcome these challenges?
Um,
And
when I started the
this is a specific India
yeah,
related
yeah.
question.
Yeah, so when I started the company, one of my friends who was in US, he told me that you're making a mistake. You should be starting it in San Francisco, do a little bit of sales there, and then create a brand name for yourself. Then you come to India, and then you sell here in India. It'll make a much bigger impact. I didn't listen to him. I spent a lot of years in India trying to convince people on this. So the challenge in India is that one, training is not really appreciated as much as it should be. So it is sometimes seen as an extra cost, and there is always excessive supply of people. So uh, do properly trained people get better pay? That takes a little bit of time to get proven. Whereas there is always this temptation of finding somebody cheaper who may not have the right experience or who may not have the right training or skills, because there is always somebody else available because of the population. So one is to convince people about the value of training. The cost of not training is far, far higher than the cost of training. So many companies or organizations might try and save on the cost of training. Second is how much of technology can be used in training as opposed to conventional methods of training. In that sense, I think earlier days we were a little ahead of the curve. We were in this much before metaverse or XR or VR became household terms. So early days we did struggle a lot, and in some sense, my friend who advised me back then was also right. Because 2019 onwards we started exporting in response to people finding us on the internet and then coming to us. So once we started exporting, we found much better traction abroad, and very soon the US numbers were equaling or bettering the India numbers. But as soon as we found acceptance abroad, the acceptance in India also went up. Somewhere
Hmm,
a developed nation adopting a particular method is seen as an endorsement of how it should be here in India
definitely.
also. On the other hand, I personally believe that India is leading in a lot of other things when it comes to, for example, fintech. I think India does a lot better. Nuclear power and space technologies are also things where India is possibly superior or at par with the top three or four in the world. Uh, so there is possibly not much of reason for a Western adoption, whereas India can actually do a lot more frugal innovation than the developed world. But somehow this is how it is, and then this is something we discovered the hard way.
You're very right, but how responsive are the companies? The corporates, do they really want to invest in their people, or is the trend changing now?
So earlier we did see a lot of resistance, but now we see the trend changing because there are, at least as far as we are concerned, the market leaders have already adopted well, and they are seeing the results. So we see cases where a corporate starts experimenting with this in one or two of their factories, and then they observe for a year on what kind of benefits they get, and very soon they have transferred it to multiple plants of theirs. So that way we see the top companies adopt these methods. We're also beginning to see the tier two companies or the suppliers to these companies also starting to adopt uh, after observing that somebody is investing and then they're making 5x return on these investments. So uh, slowly the approach is changing from seeing this as an expense versus seeing it as an investment to longer term profitability.
Skillveri is also getting a lot of good international response. So how do you see yourself expanding in the next 5 years? So
So there are a few aspects. One is to, so today we have about five verticals. So we see us to be in at least 15 verticals, mostly related to engineering and manufacturing. That is one. And second is the geographical expansion. So we already have, we are the market leader here in India. We are slowly becoming the market leader in the US. Uh, we are also seeing a lot of traction from South America and Africa. So geographical expansion would be another major growth factor for us. And finally, our core technology is related to dexterity. So maybe getting into sports training could also be one of the newer factors that we look at in terms of growth.
So, what is the vision for the company now?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What is the vision for the next 10 or 20 years?
Yeah, so like I said, one is to be the topmost brand in terms of anything to do with dexterity skills. So we have 15 million people entering the workforce every year. So uh, can we have at least 20% of that people being trained using our technology is one goal. That is very India specific goal. Second is to be known as the global go-to company for anything to do with the sectors that we operate in. And three is to extend it to anything that requires dexterity, like I said, sports training, or it could also be, let's say, medical surgery kind of skills. So we see ourselves as technologists who can solve problems in a financially attractive manner for any sector. So today our domain knowledge is more manufacturing and engineering side, but the same technology could be applied to other sectors as well. So we would want to expand geographically, and we would want to expand across more and more sectors also.
Now, what is your advice for the aspiring entrepreneurs? Based on your journey as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give to those who are considering starting their own technology driven business, especially in the field of skill development?
That's a tough question, but I would say one is that it takes a lot of effort to build a solid technology product, but it is tougher to handle the sales and distribution. It is in many contexts. Whenever we do a demo, we find people saying that, "Oh, this is wonderful! This is the best that I have seen. How come I never knew about you all these years?" So, having the best product in the world is not sufficient. You will have to have the best distribution network also to make people know that you exist and your technology can make their lives easier, and getting our product to the right kind of people. So that I personally find it to be a much tougher nut to crack than building the best technology product. So that's one. Two is to be able to manage finances really well. It's a when you do product development, unlike services, the revenue does not come in on day one. It takes a lot of time to start earning money as opposed to doing a simple software services business. So uh, managing finances, timing the cash flow. Typically, finance skills are not given as much of importance in India, is what I feel. So that's the other thing. You have to be very prudent with uh, timing the product market fit versus the cash flow challenges. So that would be the second one that I would say.
Uh, we at the EPC world have a huge base of readers, especially for the infrastructure industry. What would you like to say to them?
Specifically with the Indian audience in mind, I would say that we are seeing a large boost in the infrastructure sector, and any city we go to, there is significant construction going on, and the faster we finish these projects, the better. And to do all of this, having the right skills is a very critical factor. So I do wish all the players in this sector see the value of having the right skills and uh, invest in the right skills so that the returns on finishing these projects faster, and it has a compounding effect. Whenever I go to the US, I notice that there is not much of construction happening fresh because most of the interstate highways, the infrastructure, the roads, the bridges, everything is already there. Whereas here we are building metros in almost every city. There is construction happening everywhere. Um, we need to build a lot more factories. So if we delay on the infrastructure projects, then it has a cascading impact on the cost of a delay may not be specifically for that particular project alone, but it could have a cascading impact on the entire economy as well. So it's a very critical sector, and skills is a very critical part of that sector. So I do wish everybody sees the value of skills in the success of this sector.
Thank you, Mr. Sabarinath, for being with us at the EPC studio today. We would end with a lot of thanks to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you.